Gamers, today we're going to be talking about the Pro Scout meta. Wow, those are the words I thought I would never speak again. Now, there was a Pro Scout meta back in the day, but Pro Scout meta back in the day, when it was a thing, was actually only used by a very few civs. It was used by Malian maybe French, Rus maybe, something like that. But if you guys have been out of the loop on the current meta in AOE4 at the top level, it's a lot of Pro Scouting. Let me kind of dive into it a little bit and give you guys some examples of what's been happening kind of while I was in South Africa. It's been happening, I would say, for about a month now, but we are reaching ridiculous levels of it. So, what is Pro Scouting? If you don't know, maybe you're new to the game or you're just not very, aware of every single upgrade in the game. Pro Scouting is an upgrade in your mill that allows you to pick up deer and bring them back home, okay? Why is this suddenly the meta? Why is this being used? Because I got this asked on Twitch the other day. Why is everyone using it? Like, there's been no changes, and now everyone's using it. Well, there has been one massive change, and that change was you used to need to take a scout, click on the deer, and then manually drop off under your mill, and then go get another deer. Now, a patch or two ago, it was made so that you can just take a scout, shift-click 7 deer, and your scout will go kill a deer, bring it back on its own, go next one, bring it back, go next one, bring it back, and you could basically take 5 scouts and click all the deer on the map, and you don't gotta worry about it. It's all good. Because of that, and because of the change in the meta, and because of players' understanding changing as well, the game has become very Pro Scout oriented as of, past couple of weeks. So the reason I'm making this video is I want to make you guys aware of it, so that maybe you can go Pro Scout and you can try it out for yourself. There's a lot of players Pro Scouting with a lot of different civs, and I have tried Pro Scouting with pretty much every single civ in the game, and it actually works with every single civ. So right now, the games that I have played and that I've done Pro Scouting and that it worked is Byzantine Pro Scouting is pretty good. Unironically, pretty good. Japanese Pro Scouting is possible. Not saying it's pretty good, it's possible. Abbasid and Ayubit, you don't really do Pro Scouting, so I would not suggest you do with them. Chinese, Jushi, French, JD, HRE, OTD, Delhi, Pro Scouting, very good. Okay? Very good. Now, English, you might think, come on, English Pro Scouting? Yeah, English Pro Scouting is viable and it's not bad at all. Malian Pro Scouting is very good because Malian used to Pro Scout, so they can Pro Scout now too. I have not tried Mongol Pro Scouting, but I did hear it's quite decent. I have seen people Pro Scout with Ottoman, believe it or not, and it worked. And obviously, Rus Pro Scouting has been done in the past and is still pretty good. So, a lot of the matchups as of right now are very weird, and I'm going to show you one of them that I've played recently that Drongo casted that I've seen. So, a lot of the games, the way they look as of right now is just a lot of you're Pro Scouting, the enemy's Pro Scouting, and then you're just kind of fighting over the deer on the map. So, why is it happening, and why is there a massive decline in Fast Castle and 2 TC strategies? I'm going to show you that in a second, but here we have a game that Drongo casted. I just opened it because this happened like a week or two ago, and I don't have the replay. But you can see, this is Drongo's reaction to me going Pro Scout.
The king is online. Or at least coming on the... No way.
Yeah.
Don't you fucking dare.
Yeah. Go on.
No. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah. So anyway, I went Pro Scouts against Delhi. Delhi is one of the strongest civs. And I went Pro Scouts, and I just Pro Scouted a crap ton of deer. I made some horsemen. Then I did like a fast castle, and then made a lot of knights, and I had food forever. So, why is this being done to this extreme amount with every civ? And why is this being done even with civs that is not good with? Well, this is what's happening, okay? I'm gonna need to open paint for this. So, you got two players. You got red player, that's player number 1, and you got blue player, which is player number 2. There's some deer here. There's some deer here. There's some deer here. So I'm putting number 7 for the amount of deer. So this is what's happening. Fast Castle and 2TC is not as popular anymore. And this is why. First of all, if you're playing against Delhi, so let's take that last game. So this is Delhi, this is English. This is the last game we just played. If I, as English, don't go pro scouts, and English doesn't really go on deer, right? They usually go 2TC into farms or 1TC. So what will happen is Delhi will pick up these 7 deer, then they're going to pick up these 7, then they're going to pick up these 7, and then these 7 deer. So even if I'm going farms and I'm sitting in my home, Delhi will have so much income from all the deer on the map, which is 28. It will give them so much food that they can actually brute force kill you if you're going to TC or if you're going Fast Castle. Or if you're not, let's say you're fighting in feudal, because they're on deer and you're busy making farms and deer gather rate is very high, even if you go out on the map to contest the 3 sacred sites, let's say, from here, you will get absolutely destroyed because Delhi income is going to be a lot higher than your income with farms. They're going to have way more units and you will not be able to fight their army. You will just straight up die. So this is what's happening. Let's say you're HRE, right? HRE and the enemy is French. And this is very interesting because in the past, French has been considered a civ that is countered by HRE, right? But this is what's happening because of pro scouts and how easy they are to use. Same idea. If French goes and pro scouts these deer and HRE, let's say, rushes castle, HRE will run out of food. And when that happens, French can just fully all in with knights and archers and start killing your villagers and start trading. Now, what is the issue? Well, because you ran out of food and now you have farms. If your farms are idle, you're not producing. And because the French player has all the deer under his TC, he's permanently producing. So even though maybe he's not trading the best, he will still be killing your villagers and your economy is idle, which means you're gonna die. If you already gathered out the berries, it means you have absolutely no food remaining and you cannot go out on the map because, well, if you do, French has the whole map control, so you're gonna just end up dying. So the pro scout meta, as of right now, is actually pretty good into Fast Castle because the enemy, even though they are castle and have better units, you have way more army. So you can actually just kill out the men-at-arms in castle or the knights in castle because of how many units you will actually have compared to them. And the real issue is this guy running out of food. Now, the 2TC is actually suffering from the same problem. The same exact problem. If this guy goes 1TC pro scouts and pushes, and this guy goes 2TC, the moment the food is out, he's out. Now, let me not just yap about it, let me show you. I actually found a game from yesterday that's a very good example of this. This is French versus Abbasid. I know some people will say the skill difference, yada yada, but Abbasid has always been considered a counter to French. And I want to show you a game where we're playing French versus Abbasid and where I, the exclamation point, do the pro scouting. So I'm going to speed it up. I'm not going to talk about the build or whatever. But this is something that you can do with pretty much any civ. And like I said, if you're playing AOE4 and you want to learn more, I'm streaming and I'm doing pro scouting, but there's also a lot of other people and streamers and players that are doing pro scouting with a lot of different civs, and you can kind of watch them and learn from it as well. But here he is. And if you look, he kind of has safe food here. Look at that. Blackberries. back, like kind of side back deer, another side back deer. So this spawn looks pretty good for him. Back gold, back stone for Abbasid. This is very good, and he's going military wing, right? So let's see what happens. Because you're bringing food back home, your food income is consistent. So you know how usually when you play, your food runs out and then you gotta run to like here, or you gotta run there, and then you kill them, you make a meal here, but then they spread out, so one is here, one is there. That's all very inefficient, and you lose on income with all those things. So I'm already researching pro scouting, and if you pro scout, everything I just said doesn't exist because everything is under your TC. So you're gathering perfect, perfect income, no downsides to it. Obviously, you gotta invest some resources into scouts into the upgrade. But you can see right here, he's gonna even push me off the gold. I went across the map to harass him a little bit because I knew he's gonna be in front of my base. I was like, let's just go around. I managed to get some good raiding. Pro scouting is done. And even though he has units right here, look at that, he's on my gold. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just start pro scouting. And this is what I was talking about. See that? If I select these scouts, they're already shift queued to everything. I don't need to do anything with these scouts. They're gonna do everything on their own. It's all automatic. Doing some more harassment here. He has no units because he is harassing me. He's blocking my gold. I'm blocking his stone. I'm making more scouts. And I got survival techniques. I already have wheelbarrow. And now I think I'm gonna switch to deer. Or if I didn't, I should have. Okay. I'm harassing on this side. I saw that he's got a TC here. Very nice. I moved on to the deer because the gather rate is a lot higher than the sheep. So now my income is gonna skyrocket in a very, very good way. Still harassing here and there. Now I killed 6 workers, which is crazy amount. Crazy amount. But still, the worker count would have been 32 versus 31. Pro scouting again. I'm doing a little escorting. Boom, boom, boom. We're gonna take all the deer, and now the income has doubled in the food department, and it's gonna be even more now when I drop off the next batch of deer. We picked all those up, and now instead of going out on the map and being exposed, gathering deer here, or gathering deer there, or having to wall so I wouldn't get harassed on my deer making towers, I can use all those resources to make units. So if you look at the unit count right now, it's through the roof. And now I can just push not his gold necessarily, not his wood line. I just push his deer. I just take his deer, and then he will just run out of food. I don't need to kill anything anymore. He's just gonna run out of food completely. That's what I do. I push in here. I start yoinking the deer. I'm going around. I check this mill right here. I check the gold. The food, he's slowly running out. And he went for military wing, so he doesn't have eco wing and super fast farms either. I destroy this. I'm pro scouting still. He intercepts me here, does some good damage, kills some units. Very nice. Love that. I'm still making units. I'm spamming units. Pro scouts under TC. We're chilling. I rotate. Now, what is the problem? Again, if he goes onto the open, he gets exposed, and then I have something to attack into. And if he stays in his base, then I will overwhelm him with the amount of units I simply have. So you can see he's trying to take the deer. I already took 6 of his 7 here. So I basically got 3 deer packs, which is already an advantage for me, because that means I have 3 deer packs, he has 1. So even if he gathers this whole 1 deer pack, I have more food and he will run out of food first. Not to mention, I can go on the boar, I can go on my boar, which I am right now. I can go on all the bears on the map, and he is locked in his base. Now this is the same example happens in other matchups as well, by the way. So this is not only French versus Abbasid. This also happens in other matchups in Pro Scout versus 2TC, which is why I wanted to show you this game, because it's a perfect example of what I wanted to explain anyway, of why and how Pro Scouts has been so popular recently. And now, because he has to go on the outside food sources, I don't, right? The only exposed thing here is like the wood line, I guess, and the gold. My food is chilling. I'm pushing the front, I'm doing some harassment in the back. I moved 2 more deer, so even though I didn't get them, I stole 2 more deer from him, which he is not going to have. So the benefit of Pro Scout is not only that I get more food, and not only the food is safe, you actually steal the food from your opponent. And now, because of all that juicy income, I decide, you know what, I'll just age up instead. And if we pause the game right here, 19 villagers killed. Obviously, he got butchered quite a bit this game. But the upgrades, not looking good right now at all. He tried to go for mass melee units to try to overwhelm me, which I never really engaged. I'm going Royal Institute because I'm just going to all in off of this. I'm doing some harassment in the back. He's got 24 food, nowhere near the age up, no eco upgrades. Meanwhile, I got every single upgrade except +1 melee armor. Killing more here. And now I'm just going to go back. I'm going to age up. He got 4 or 5 deer total here. And now the only thing he can do, the only thing that's left for him to do, is because he's so far behind, he has to push and try to do something. Because if he just stays back, my upgrades are going to finish and he's going to be dead. My Veteran Knight upgrades finish. And now he dies under TC because he knows the moment this upgrade kicks in or this, he is dead AF. So he decides to push in. Obviously it's not going to work because I have way too many units. And he just taps out. So, this is kind of why we have seen, you know, if you're watching the streams or tournaments, the KP weeklies, or if you're watching my games, why there's been a massive decrease of fast castle rushing or 2TC plays is because of stuff like this. It makes it very hard for you to go 2TC and not get completely overwhelmed. And it's very interesting. I'm not going to go into too many details, but there's been some matchups that were always favored for one Civ, but now because of this Pro Scout thing, it actually favors the other one, which is really funny to see because the Civ A has always been favored, but now the Civ B can actually win pretty easily. So now Civ A needs to figure out how to beat a Civ that historically they could always beat. And I would say a matchup like French versus Abbasid was always very good for Abbasid and pretty easy to play, I would say. But now with Pro Scouts, it makes it a lot harder for Abbasid. And this was when the deer were in the back of his base, by the way. This was his back of gold, back stone, back berries, and double back deer pack. Now imagine if his deer packs were forward. How much easier that game would have been, right? So yeah, there's a lot of meta shifts and meta changes, and there's a lot of matchups that are like, I feel like evolving week after week because of the pro scouting and the way it's working out. There's been some very interesting builds that I've seen where, you know how people used to just go fast castle or all in or 2TC. Now a lot of people are doing like pro scouts, or some, not a lot of people, but some builds that I've seen, people are doing pro scouts into fast castle. So this is the interesting thing. It's very cool. This is something I like love nerding out about because strategy and meta shifts in RTS games is so fun for me and so interesting. Like I could yap about it all day. So this is what's happening. Okay, player blue, player 2 is going for pro scouting. Player A, let's say this is French, and French has cheaper pro scouts, right? Just to show you how the meta develops in RTS games, right? And how this works. So French has cheaper pro scouts. So whatever Civ you are, French will upgrade their pro scouts easier, cheaper, right? So if you're red, you have 2 options, okay? One is you're gonna attack and prevent pro scouts, or 2, you will ignore it, okay? You don't really have another option. What else are you going to do? You're either going to leave it alone or you're going to do something about it. But this is the interesting part. The one splits again. And it's either you're going to all in, like you're gonna just make units and try to prevent it, or you're also gonna go pro scouts. And this is where a lot of players are at right now. Okay? So what's happening right now in the meta is, let's say the French goes pro scouts. This civ can be whatever civ you want it to be. It doesn't matter. Any civ. Now, this player not only goes pro scouts, okay? So it used to be like pro scout, and then this guy pro scouts, and we're all getting our deer, and then the game continues. But now people are saying, okay, I'm gonna go pro scouts, but I'm gonna make a barracks. And this guy says, I'm gonna also make a barracks. Because, let's say this is not French, actually. Let's say it's whatever other civ, right? So now this guy says, well, I'm gonna make a barracks to prevent his scouts. And this guy says, well, I'm also gonna make a barracks to prevent his scouts. Because making stables doesn't make sense. So I'm just gonna make barracks as well. And the interesting part is, you might be thinking, why don't you just make archers as blue? If red is making barracks into spearmen, why don't you just make archers? That's the interesting part. If you have 5 spearmen and blue has 2 archers, blue loses this. Let's say he has 4 archers. Let's say it's 4 archers versus 7 spearmen. Who wins here? Do you know? Blue wins in a fight. But remember, this is not a fight. So the spearmen actually win. Why is this not a fight? Well, if red sees you have 4 archers and you're sending them here, what red is going to do is he's going to take 2 scouts here, and he's going to take 3 scouts on the bottom deer pack. And then he's going to take his 7 spear and split them to the deer packs, like 3 to the top, 4 to the bottom. Which means that the red will actually pro scout more deer back home, because spearmen are better at killing scouts than archers are. But not only that, if you split archers and you go 2, 2, the 4 spearmen will actually win against the 2 archers. The 3 will not win against 2, but you don't need to fight there. You give that one up as the bottom player. So then you have this deer pack, and this deer pack. Okay? This has happened over a course of a few weeks, by the way. Okay? So that's how the meta developed. And then people realized, okay, well, making archers doesn't make sense. If you make barracks, I'll make barracks. And then we'll both just try to prevent the pro scouts from the other player. So now the meta is, you're not pro scouting from 1 deer pack. You're pro scouting from 4 deer packs at the same time at the high level, while using spearmen to try chase the other enemy scouts. But if you have more spearmen at that place, you try to kill their spearmen. And then the meta turned into mass archers after that, right? For a straight up push. So like a lot of archers, like a lot of archers to push into red. And then red did the same, or made horsemen or whatever. But then people realized, well, if I pro scout and you go archers after, what I can do is I can make 5 to 10 spears and do a fast castle. And if I do a fast castle with all the deer under my TC, and if I put 2 towers in my gold, and you go mass archers, you're gonna die to men-at-arms, right? And this is kind of where we're at right now in the meta, and it's constantly changing. Like, I have even seen people do pro scouts into 2 town centers now. Because people realize, okay, we both pro scout, but we can't actually kill each other because we're doing the same thing. So people are basically trying to outgreed each other while not dying at the same time. Isn't this a good thing for the game overall? Yeah, it is. No, this is a great thing. Like, I think this is super interesting. Like, again, week after week, I am seeing different responses to what I just showed you. Constantly shift. I've even seen some people do pro scouts and just not even go spearmen, just greed out completely, right? So, what do I think about this meta? And what do I think this for lower leagues? Because I see someone's like saying this is for high level. Low level, instead of focusing on getting deer from 4 deer packs, you can just attack your opponents deer pack, right? While taking yours. So, again, a reminder, Pro Scouts are very easy to use. Like, you just shift click the deer and that's it. You don't need to do anything. Beasty's not complaining, he's analyzing. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you think that I'm complaining about this, then you need to check yourself out with the help of a doctor. I'm literally explaining the game right now. But thank you for that clarification for the dents in the chat. So, to me, this is all very interesting. Pro Scouts, I doubt people are using it in lower leagues, but I would advise you guys to try it, okay? Just try it and see how it works, because I don't know how it's going to work out in lower leagues. Now, what do I think about Pro Scouting? Because it is becoming a little bit overwhelming. As in, Pro Scouting as a strategy is not a problem, okay? So, if there was Fast Castle strat, there was a 2TC strat, right? And then Pro All-In, let's say. All-In. And then Pro Scout. If this was the case, Pro Scouts is fine. Now, what I'm worried about is that the game is slowly becoming Pro Scouting only. Or mostly. Let's say mostly. Let's not say only. Let's say mostly. Now, is that a problem? I mean, it's not necessarily a problem. It's up to developers to figure out what they want to do with the game. But I talked about this, I don't know if it was yesterday or when I was in South, I think it was when I was in South Africa. So this is the issue. All these 4 things are different strategies. Fast Castle, 2TC, All-In, or Pro Scouts, right? Those are 4 different options. And if Pro Scouts is one of the 4 options, thumbs up, I love that. We have like a new extra strategy that people can do. But what is currently happening is Pro Scouts is kind of dumpstering the other 3 pretty badly. Yeah, I see Gali's mentioning the 2TC. So do you guys remember when 2TC was the meta with every Civ? It did not matter what Civ you played, you opened 2TC. And if you open up, opponent goes 2TC, you go 3TC. Do you guys remember that? That also wasn't necessarily a problem, but that was the whole game. We're about here now. Let's say we're 80% into Pro Scout meta. And very soon, I think the Pro Scout meta might be everything at the top level, which again is not necessarily wrong. It just depends what devs want to do. Because if the meta turns into Pro Scouts, imagine this. Do you know how when you start the game, you make a villager and you send the scout to get sheep? You guys know what I mean? It's the start of every single game and you're going around and you're collecting the sheep. That's how every game starts out with every single civilization. Soon enough, at the top level, we might have a situation where at the start of every game, we make a villager, we go 7 on food, 3 on gold, we scout around, we age up and we go Pro Scouts. I think right now this meta is fine. Like, it's very action-packed and it's very interactive. It's a bit stale. Like, if you play 10 games and 9 games were Pro Scouts, it's a bit like, Like, do I really want to be chasing the deer all day? I'm not sure, right? So I don't think that Pro Scouts necessarily needs a nerf, like it's too overpowered. I don't think it's overpowered. I think it just, the issue is it beats out the other strategies and kind of suffocates other options. I think in a strategy game, what you want to have is strategic options. Like, it was the same when we had the Fast Castle meta or the 2TC meta. I said the same thing back then. If you guys remember, if you watched me for long enough. I said the same thing at that time, that it's not good for the game. If every Civ is going 2TC, then it's not a strategic choice. Then you just do it, right? It's not a strategy. It's just, you have to do it. So I kind of feel the same way about Pro Scouts. Like, yeah, it makes the game interactive and people are going on the map and fighting and that's all cool. But if that's all there is, then that's not good. If Pro Scouts enters the trio that we had up until this point, which is the 2TC or Fast Castle or All-In, if it enters as a 4th strategy, I would love that. But I would not love it if that's all the meta becomes, right? So do I think the Pro Scouts should be nerfed? I don't think it necessarily needs a nerf. honestly, the civs that suck in the game right now at the high level is not because of they can't pro scout, it's because they just suck. I am happy that some civs like French are doing a lot better at the top level, because French has been doing really bad for a very long time. And now French is doing a lot better because of pro scouts. So I personally would like to see a change that maybe it slows down the pro scouting a bit, but still keeps it relevant. I think that would be perfect. So whichever way devs go about it, if that's something they want to do, would be perfect. Like, in the perfect world, I want 25% of the games to be all in, 25% fast castle, 25% 2TC, 25% pro scout. That's the perfect world, right? But we're not in a perfect world, so I'll settle for every civ can do like 2-3 strategies, right? And that's kind of how I feel about it as of right now. Now, the ways to nerf pro scouts, you know, whenever you have a problem or a design issue or something is too strong, you can always approach it from multiple different angles, you know. You can make it so that pro scouts is more expensive. You can make it so that pro scouts takes 30 seconds extra to research, right? If you do, or 15 or 20 seconds, I don't know. Because then the pro scouting doesn't arrive as fast, so you have more time to respond to it. Or if you're going 2TC and pro scouts is arriving 20 seconds later, then 2TC has basically 20 seconds extra to respond to it. You can also, I saw an interesting comment, I think it was yesterday. Someone said, what if pro scout got nerfed, where if the scout got hit, it drops the carcass? I thought that was pretty interesting. One, I don't know how possible it is to program that and implement that, but I thought that was pretty cool. Maybe it would become too obnoxious, like hitting and then dropping and then hitting and then picking it up and stuff like that. But that's a possible nerf. Part-time scout, yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of options. They can increase the cost of the scouts. They can increase the production time of the scouts. They can increase the research time, like I said, increase the cost of the research. They can reduce the movement speed of the scouts while carrying carcass. They can increase damage taking of the scouts while carrying carcass, right? Like, there's literally 10 different ways they can change it or nerf it. But I just hope that if devs don't want this to be meta, I hope that they don't over nerf it. Because I don't want pro scouts to be dead. I want it to just not be as overwhelming as it is right now. Anything involving production or research time would be in direct buff to Chinese civs. Also true. Also true, and also a very good point. So this is what happens. Like in AOE4, all the civs are so different that you need like when you're changing stuff, you need to make a change that impacts every civ equally, you know? And that's a very good point. If you increase the research time by 20 seconds, you didn't really nerf it that much for China and Tuxi, you know, which already research it the fastest. Yeah, if scouts were take, like, let's say there's a debuff on a scout, takes 30 or 50% more damage while it's carrying deer, then there's like a skill expression at the high level where if a knight is charging, you drop the carcass, you get charged, you get hit, and then you pick it up again and carry it, right? And maybe your spearman arrives. So you can do stuff like that. But like I said, there's plenty of ways to change it. It's just, it depends if devs want to do it or how they want to go about it. But like I said, I've personally been enjoying the pro scout meta. I just hope that we get to see something else. This is why game development and game balancing is so hard to do. Like, just this one thing we just talked about. Pro scouting. A scout picking up deer and carrying it. You have to pay attention to the cost. Research time. Well, if you do research time, then China and Jushi don't actually get nerfed. If you require survival techniques, well, Delhi can get it for free, and then other civs can just get it while aging up, but some will struggle. So it's like you're making the problem worse for some, but you're buffing others while doing it. So because the civs are so different, you need to find a solution that affects every civ the same, but you also don't want to make it useless. You know what I mean? Like, the worst thing to happen is if they nerf pro scouts and it's just like trash and we're back to 2TC. I would hate that. So yeah, there it is. I would strongly suggest you guys to try the pro scouts. Maybe I'll make a couple of guides for you guys with the pro scouting. But if you do want to try it before I get the guides out, just add, when you're aging up, you know how you put 3 on gold, 7 on food? Go 7 on food and like 4 or 5 on gold in order to get enough gold to research pro scouts the moment you age up. So that's it. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this yapping and this video. And I'm sorry I went super RTS nerd on the whole explanation and when this happens, that happens. But I hope you guys found it interesting. And if you're watching on Twitch, let's keep going.